Good evening. I'm going to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7:06. We could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Steve Carr, vote to accept and approve the agenda for the Board of Education meeting dated May 13th, 2024 as presented. Are you sure?
Matt Vinomer make a motion to amend the agenda, specifically item 6.8, the top SAT scorers, grade 11, to add Christopher Marcel.
Steve Carr, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Thank you. Were there any members of the public who wanted to address the board? Seeing none, if I could have a motion to approve the minutes.
Steve Carr, vote to approve, accept the amended minutes.
The minutes aren't amended yet. No, that was for the agenda. Now we're approving the minutes.
Matt Vinomer, I vote to accept and approve the Thompson Board of Education regular meeting minutes dated April 8th, 2024 as presented.
Tanya Gelpin, second.
Anya, second. Okay. Under the motion to vote to approve and acknowledge the superintendent's notification of personnel, specifically new hires, transfers, retirements, resignations, renewals, stipends per policy 4112, 4212, personnel, certified, non-certified appointment, and conditions of employment. I had erroneously voted yes when I should have abstained, as my daughter Erin Feiner is one of the employees listed under stipend coaching positions. So I would like to go on record and apologize for this oversight. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? If I can have a motion to accept the residency hearing minutes.
Matt Vinomer, I vote to accept and approve the Thompson Board of Education residency hearing minutes dated April 23rd as presented.
Vieira, second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Moving on to our recognitions. We have our April 2024 Rotary Student of the Month, who is Claire Saunders.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claire Saunders, and I'm honored to be here today as April Rotary Student of the Month. I'm a lifelong resident of Thomaston, and I'm in my last year being in Thomaston Public Schools, which has been such a great platform for me to be starting my life from. Looking back through my time here, which went incredibly fast, I can identify a defining factor in my childhood, which set me on the path that I'm on now. I joined Thomaston Youth Soccer Club at 4 years old, and I am now committed to play soccer at college at Bentley University, where I will be majoring in marketing or finance with a minor in entrepreneurial studies. The resources from the town are the reason I'm here today. I've had an amazing high school experience and soccer career, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of such an amazing team that is Thomaston Girls Soccer. When I tore my ACL in September of 2022, I struggled with whether I would continue with soccer through college. This time in my life was difficult, to say the least, and I would never have recovered from it both mentally and physically if I didn't have the support from my friends, family, coaches, teachers, and the town. The countless good wishes and interest in my recovery and in my well-being made the process feel less alone and boosted my confidence. I recovered after a long year and was able to play my senior year soccer season and help lead my team to a historic season. It was incredible to see Thomaston rally at our Berkshire League championship game and see us win for the first time in history. At our state's games and at the state championships, I swear I saw half of Thomaston there. Overall, my resilience and determination to recover is directly related to my time and my experiences in Thomaston. The support that this town and the people around me have provided is something that I have been so lucky to receive. It is truly something special, and I will cherish it for many years to come. Thank you all for this award, and Thomaston for all of your support.
So that was the speech that Claire gave to the Rotary Club when she was honored at the Rotary Luncheon. Our April students of the month, for grade 12, we have Claire Saunders, grade 11, Emily Losi, grade 10, Mark Pappas, grade 9, Matthew Johnson, grade 8, Kayla Kapusta, grade 7, Tasman Banks, grade 6, Kaden Mohammed, grade 5, Melody Palladino, grade 4, Rayanne Asani, grade 3, Madeline Pappas, grade 2, Jace Garnett, grade 1, Zachary Choinard, kindergarten, Haley Bartkus, and preschool, Luca Rinaldi. We congratulate all these students who were honored at the breakfast in April. Our May 24 spotlight is Mrs. Cindy Sabalsik. We are pleased to select Cindy Sabalsik as our staff spotlight for May 2024. Mrs. Sabalsik is a third grade teacher at Black Rock School. Each day she brings kindness, caring, and a great sense of humor to our school community. Mrs. Sabalsik is a proud graduate of Thomaston High School. She went on to attend Salve Regina University in Rhode Island, where she attained her bachelor's degree. From there, she went on to earn a master's degree from the University of New England in Maine. Mrs. Sabalsik is a resident of New Hartford, where she lives with her husband, Chris, and 2 children, Alex and Mika, and dog Luca. She enjoys the beach, shopping, and reading mystery novels. Mr. Kozlak writes, "It is a pleasure to work with Cindy at Black Rock School. She is a great teacher leader at our school and goes above and beyond her teaching responsibilities to make our school great. In addition to being the third grade team leader, Cindy provides leadership in many areas in our school. She leads the Sunshine Club, which provides recognitions and gifts for special events for the entire staff and individual staff members as well. She regularly researches and shares instructional strategies with the staff, which are typically hands-on activities that allow students to explore learning in new and interesting ways. Cindy is currently in her 22nd year as a teacher at Black Rock School. She has taught kindergarten, first grade, second grade, special education, and is currently in her 6th year as a third grade teacher. During her career, she has always been willing to do what is best for the school and the children. Cindy is inspired by her mother, Linda Bluthen, a retired Black Rock teacher. She makes Mrs. Bethan proud every day. I am so honored to have the privilege to know and share this experience with Cindy. Congratulations. Next, we have our Connecticut Association of Boards of Education Student Leadership Awards. Our 12th grade winner is Landon Galpin. Unfortunately, he is a bit under the weather, so he was not able to join us this evening. And we also have Claire Saunders. Claire is a dedicated and hardworking student in her senior year at Thomaston High School. She has taken a multitude of college and honors classes throughout her high school career and efficiently balances her workload with sports, clubs, and community service. Claire is very involved in her school community and holds multiple roles, include being the Vice President of NHS, the Secretary of Student Council, and the Treasurer of Class Council. She is a member of the Thomaston Girls Varsity Soccer Team and has had the privilege of being a captain for 2 years. Next year, Claire will attend and play soccer for Bentley University. Our honorees from 8th grade are Ava Nicosia. Ava, you can come on up. Ava is a well-rounded individual. She is a member of her school's drama club, having been a part of 3 productions, both on stage and behind the scenes. Ava has played soccer for 8 years and currently plays for the U15 Premier Team with Inter-Connecticut Litchfield Soccer Clubs. Her team has been ranked #1 in their division for the last 2 seasons. Ava also runs cross-country and track and field for the Thomaston Middle School. She placed 4th in her first showing at States for the 4x4 relay in 7th grade. Ava has been acknowledged as Student of the Month and was nominated in the 2020 statewide election for Connecticut Kid Governor. She is frequently on the honor roll and was one of the top 7 Thomaston State finalists for the Connecticut Invention Convention in 2022. She hopes to continue this academic and athletic success throughout her remaining years at Thomaston High School. And our other 8th grade honoree is Dustin Galpin. Dustin is an exceptional person. From playing soccer to studying intensely to keep up a good grade, Dustin shows his intelligence not only in school, but in the real world too. In school, Dustin has achieved grades satisfying the requirements of high honors every quarter in his middle school journey. Dustin has also taken responsibility in his academics by signing up for college classes and talking to his teachers when he needs help. Dustin has gone through multiple challenges to become the man he is now. From being in and out of the hospital for the first 3 years of his life to navigating his way through his weight loss journey, Dustin has not only overcome medical challenges, but has gone above and beyond to work on his body. He has played soccer every season but one from the age of 4. However, soccer has not been the only sport he played. Dustin has played 4 years of Little League Baseball while also volunteering with his mother and siblings to provide food to customers at the snack shed. After school hours, Dustin goes hiking with the hiking club and works out multiple times a week. From this, he has learned hard work and discipline. Dustin tries his hardest to work with peers and to help them succeed. All these challenges have taught Dustin multiple life lessons. He plans to keep working hard to improve his health and to build a good resume for college. These are just a few things Dustin has accomplished and would like to accomplish in his life before he achieves a lifelong goal of becoming a doctor.
You want me to hold that? Yeah. Congratulations.
We also have our Connecticut Association of Public Schools Superintendents and Litchfield County Superintendent Association student recognition. These students are not with us tonight because they were honored at a banquet last month. From grade 12, we have Valia Russman. Valia is a dedicated senior who is committed to both excellence in her academics and extracurricular activities. Her academic successes, especially those in the Science and Engineering Research Cohort program, demonstrate her drive and dedication. In school, Valia serves as her class president, vice president of the Student Alliance for a Greener Earth, and parliamentarian for the National Honor Society. She is also an active member of the Student Council and the girls' tennis team. Outside of school, Valia dances competitively and plays the piano. Our other grade 12 representative is Nicholas Jakes. Nicholas is a senior who is excited to pursue his career in law enforcement. For his senior capstone project, Nicholas is facilitating a sporting event that will serve to strengthen the relationship between the Thomaston community and law enforcement. This is especially important to Nicholas, who has served as a police explorer for the past 7 years. Nicholas is a proud member of the Thomaston High School baseball team. Nicholas is a very kind person who sets an example for students and staff alike. From grade 8, we have Bella Bickford. Bella is a hardworking 8th grader who strives to achieve her personal, academic, and extracurricular goals. She is a scholar athlete and proudly demonstrates her skills on the Thomaston High School field hockey team. Bella offers support to teachers and peers, and she is viewed by all as a very trustworthy student and friend. Her compassion and kindness is evident to others. Bella is a leader and successfully advocates for herself and others. Bella is a confident, respectful person who serves her school community well. And our 6th grade winner is Olivia Mower. Olivia is currently a 6th grader who is a conscientious student with a clear focus on her academic performance. Olivia is a percussionist in the Thomaston Center School Band. Along with school activities, Olivia enjoys snowboarding and playing softball and basketball on area travel teams. She is an avid dancer who has taken jazz, tap, and ballet lessons for many years. In addition to her academic, musical, athletic, and dance achievements, Olivia is kind-hearted and compassionate and goes the extra mile to help her peers. Congratulations to all our award winners this evening. We also are having a shout out to our all-state basketball players, Nicole Decker and Vince Russman. Congratulations. Our Cass Scholar Athlete Award winners, Nicole Decker and Claire Saunders. And our top SAT scores from grade 12, we have Jaden Duong, Grace Lavasser, Chase Maxfield, Erti Shrepke, Francesco Treslier, and Christopher Marcel. Thank you. Congratulations to them. And we appreciate all of you coming to attend our meeting tonight, but we know it is a school night and you have things to do. So if you would like to leave, we appreciate you coming. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Okay, moving on to our student representative report.
For academics, the 11th grade had an NGSS testing on April 30th and May 1st, and there was an all-star assembly on May 2nd. The science and engineering cohort also had a science symposium on May 2nd. The seniors this year presented their research projects that they had been working on for almost 4 years. Any student that was taking an AP class took their AP exams this month, and many students said that they felt very prepared for their exams. And the AP teachers also helped organize after-school study groups to help prepare students for their exams. For clubs, in May, Student Council has an event on May 17th, and this event is Mr. THS. This will be taking place in the THS auditorium at 7 p.m. There will be raffle tickets sold during lunch for the whole school to buy. The Unified Buddies Club has their end of year field trip on May 30th. Nicholas Jakes has a senior capstone presentation, and it is hosting a kickball tournament on May 18th from 12 to 3 p.m. The hiking club has a few hikes coming up, and the catering club also helped cater the science symposium May 1st as well. For athletics in May, there was a scholarship banquet on May 5th in honor of Claire Saunders and Nicole Decker. Softball has a current record of 8-4, and they are tied for second in the league. Baseball has a current record of 3-8, and the track team has all their players winning pretty good for overall so far, and most of those athletes are preparing for the BLs, which is coming up soon. The girls' tennis team has a record of 10-4, and the boys' tennis team has a record of 1-10. Spring sports have started up quick and are going to end quickly, so come support your Bear athletes. For special events, on May 1st, there was a National Honor Society introduction ceremony. On May 8th, there was a presentation for sophomores by a descendant of a Holocaust survivor. On May 14th, there will be an event for register students that are 18 or older to vote. There will be senior capstone presentations on May 16th.
Thank you very much. Moving on to my report. We have the honor roll, our progress report on our goals is as presented. And we have 3 letters of recommendation for our student board members next year. So if I could have a motion for that, please.
Nate Viera, motion to vote to accept/approve the recommendations of Megan Campbell as the grade 12 student representative and Lucas Koval and Tyler Veronese as the grade 11 co-student representatives for the 2024-2025 school year.
Matt Vinomer, second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
I'm abstaining.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, Megan. Thank you for continuing for another year, and we look forward to welcoming Lucas and Tyler. Okay, next we have the follow-up from our ad hoc committee meeting. So as you saw from the notes, the ad hoc committee met and set the ground rules for how this committee is going to go forward. So at this time, we are looking to nominate someone from the Board of Ed to join Francine and I on this committee.
Taking nominations now.
We have 2 of our members who had sent emails nominations. We have Tanya and Frank. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none.
Oh, Roxy, I don't have a nomination, but I have some questions, so I can wait until we make some kind of a motion if you want.
Okay, so if I could have a motion to appoint a board member and the nominations for the 2 people who submitted their names as interested in being on this committee.
This is for the thing we discussed at the last meeting as far as the department heads all meeting together with Ed regards to placement of nice rooms and all that fun stuff.
The ad hoc committee.
Okay. Do we nominate ourselves?
If you would like to be put into the nomination category, then yes, this can be, your name can be added to
I would
Tanya's and
love to be
Frank's.
added to that.
And to be clear. To be clear, there are 2 open spots, right? 1. Okay. Thank you.
One open spot. It's one additional member from the Board of Education. Correct.
It may help, this is Francine speaking, it may help for the group to know that these meetings will be held during the workday. That's what was decided by the group.
Well, maybe I'll ask my questions now then, before we.
That's why I thought it would be important to mention that.
So at the last meeting, we talked about having a tri-board meeting to discuss this. I thought the meeting was to discuss specifically the $10,000 that was requested from the Board of Selectmen that the Board of Ed contribute. So is this ad hoc committee formed for some other reason?
We gathered together with all of the heads of the various boards, the 4 different boards. It was decided that we would have a slightly larger group to talk about the $10,000, and that potentially we would talk about other things as well, because when we met last as a board, we weren't satisfied with just talking about the $10,000. We wanted the broader types of expenses to be looked at. So in order to do that and not have 30 people in a room, the group that met at the beginning of the month decided that they would have 2 representatives from each, with the exception of Board of Selectmen, because if he has 2 representatives, then it's a legal Board of Selectmen meeting. He'd have a quorum.
Oh, I did email you about this, Francine. I was curious as why it wouldn't be a public meeting so that people would actually be held accountable for what's said during this meeting. And so that Steve, if he gets on, isn't saying my opinion about what I feel should be done with the $10,000 or if we should pay it. So those are just some of my concerns, that people will be on the committee with their own opinions and not the whole opinion of the board. Sorry.
So when we talked about that too, we wanted to make sure that those people that were going to be representing the board would be representing the board that they're from. So in order to do that, we may have to have a meeting, come up with some ideas, bring it back to each of our boards, and then we can come back and have another meeting. So we expect to have some regular meetings to solve at least the $10,000 problem and definitely to go forward with the other issues. Right now, the priority of the majority of the 4 of us is the $10,000 problem. They want to take that right off the top, but we haven't talked about it other than how to develop this group. So there hasn't been any discussion about what to do to solve any problem, just how do we get a group together? And then make that a group that has minutes to the meeting, notes. I won't call it minutes, notes for the meeting. And then each of us would report out, each representative from each board would report out at their respective meetings. So that they'd be in 4 different meeting minutes. But ours especially, I think we'll do what I did here. I typed it into our agenda so that it was clear what these minutes, what the notes look like, so that we can guarantee that it's posted publicly somewhere after we've had a meeting.
So at that ad hoc committee with the discussion of the $10,000, it would not be decided at that meeting that on behalf of the Board of Ed that we would be paying that money.
That was
That would have
not
to
my
come back
understanding
from
at
the
this
board?
meeting, that we would have ideas coming from the people that are meeting in the room, and each of the representatives would go back to their respective boards. Because we may have one idea and Board of Finance may have another, and we need to bring it back and say, this is what the Board of Finance likes. Do you like it? Yes or no, et cetera. And we go back and forth. So we think it's going to be a lot of shorter meetings to talk about these issues.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I may, Steve Carr, Beth, when I had spoken to others about putting this together, it wasn't a matter of this is what we're going to do. It was more of getting clarity with having all the departments there of why currently there might be some line items that are in question. And if not why, then what steps need to be to remove them or place them where they belong. And having all of the board members or a representative from all the different boards is to collectively understand why certain things are where they are at and to reorganize if we can.
And this is Francine speaking. The first bullet, second bullet from the bottom there, the one that's third bullet from the bottom, it says the aforementioned list shall be shared with. We talk about compiling a list. So what the group decided was that each of the 4 boards would come up with a list of concerns related to this topic that happens to have been, the impetus happened to be the Nystrom $10,000. So any kind of concern that any one of these 4 boards might have regarding how we spend money and what department, to use Steve's term, that whatever department we put that expense into, that we need to bring to the next meeting, which hasn't been scheduled yet, because we wanted to make sure that each of us had time to go back to our respective boards and gather that information. Again, we started off just talking about the $10,000 and how we can get together to solve that problem, but these are the notes from that meeting saying what we intend to do next. So I think it may take a few months, maybe 6, before we really come up with something, but that should get us to a point where we're just before budget planning season for next year. And that could give us a better understanding of what would be expected of each of those boards with certain expenditures that we've either grown to love or hate over the last decade or so.
Tanya Galvin, I have a question. Do we have a line item for field maintenance? I mean, we use every field in this town over and over again, and do we have a line item to put towards field maintenance here? I know just this field here alone, in between the 2 schools, gets overused with field hockey, baseball, softball, and you could see it as you drive by what a disaster it is at the end of field hockey, and I assume we should be maintaining some of that.
So we maintain the grassy areas that are not the field, and the town maintains the grassy areas that are the field. We used to have a different agreement a few years back, but now the agreement is they come and take care of our fields. We don't pay anyone to do that, but in turn, we allow rec to use our buildings, no charge, inclusive of those times when they're using our building on a weekend when a custodian needs to be paid. So that was the most recent deal. And it was only codified by me emailing Ed back a summary of what he and I spoke about over the phone. So this is one of those matters where we need to have a little more permanency and stability about that deal. Because when we go to make the next deal, oftentimes people forget about the last deal. And if they're looking to categorize expenditures because of an audit purpose or whatnot, that's easy to understand. But if it's a willy-nilly, mood of the day as to where we put certain expenditures, that makes it very difficult for us to predict. So right now, Tanya, we have very little money set aside for managing our fields because we don't anticipate having to manage our fields because of this last agreement that we made a few years ago. Be clear, only the field between Black Rock and the high school.
Matt Vinomer, I'd also like to add my name to the list of volunteers.
I took my name off the list.
I don't know the words to add to it, so I mean, taking your name off the list.
I think right now we are aggressively agreeing on what we have to go forward and do. I think everyone who's put their name forward will be a good representative on this multi-board thing. Frank, I know you were my former coach when I was very little. I know you care about the fields very much. And Steve, I know that you put forward this idea at the last meeting. You care about it very much. I think we just have to come to a decision, pick someone to go onto this committee and go forward with it and get it done, because I think we all agree.
Please let me clarify the purpose of this committee. It is an ad hoc committee for funding, use, and maintenance of buildings and grounds. The impetus was the $10,000 demanded for Nystrom, but the broader picture is there. This committee will last until we reconcile all of our qualms. So we need to remember it's for buildings and grounds, and it's for funding, maintenance, and use.
Nate, a quick question. What buildings, I'm not sure if any buildings have been brought up in particular, or do you think there are any that have not been brought up that will come into discussion in the future?
It would be all town-owned properties and buildings. Because right now, it's a bit murky as to, I'll use the schools as an example. If we put in new HVAC here, it's generally because we've had to ask for capital and they've given it to us through the town, or we've done something through operating to cover the cost. An example that Steve gave at the last meeting had to do with how we managed the asbestos abatement or how we managed the dimensions of the flood over at Black Rock School. That money came out of our operating and out of our 2% account. It did not come from the town. So the purpose of this meeting of this group is much broader. It's to go back and forth between the bigger boards, each individual larger board, and get to a point where we can say, okay, resolution is, when we talk about this topic, how do we behave? Who funds it? Who manages it, et cetera. So I really do believe that the $10,000 will take us a few meetings, but I think that this will be a long-lasting committee. And that's why it was chosen to have it during the day, because then it could happen during the regular work hours for those that are available during the day to do such kinds of meetings on a regular and steady basis.
Nate, just a couple more questions. So this was already agreed to, so we're not going to be editing any of this tonight. We would not have the power to do so. That's my assumption. And since none of these boards have a quorum, technically no one is hosting it. They're all just coming together. So all the bylaws, I don't know what the other boards have, but bylaw stating that's technically not an unofficial meeting if more than a quorum show up, if they are invited to a separate board meeting, does not apply in this circumstance.
Any one board that has a quorum during this meeting would then be the official board that's hosting the meeting. Right now, this would be like a meeting that we would have if we were just meeting to talk about a topic. You know, when I meet with Joe or with Ed at any other time, we don't host a meeting. We just say, okay, let's talk about this. So that's how we're working it. However, to Beth's point, the concern that I share with her, and I'm sure many other members of the board share it too, is that if we don't bring what we talk about in these meetings into some type of written document so that it can be at least just put into a history. I won't even say codify. That's too legal. Just a history of what we've discussed so that when we go back to our respective boards, the way that I'm seeing it is when we come to some type of consensus of option A, option B, we'll take option A, the representatives will take option A and B back to each of the respective boards and see what comes back of it, from it. Because everyone in the room, including Tracy, who will be involved because she's got one foot in the town and one foot at the Board of Ed. Tracy will be involved because she's got to do the numbers. So she may be the one who makes a recommendation, or it could be coming from us or from Board of Finance or whomever. But it's to come up with solutions to problems that some of us haven't even put into a list yet. And you know the list is going to be mighty long.
Just want to add something about the list. It has been made very clear to us that the number one item on this list is the $10,000 from Nystrom. And that if this list that we bring forward is too long, we're going to pare it down and prioritize things as an ad hoc committee. So just so you're aware that that is how this has been explained to us. So I will entertain a motion to nominate someone to serve as the additional member from the Board of Education.
Nate Beer, a second.
I was going to take all the nominations and then we will do a vote. Are there any other nominations?
Tanya.
Well, we need a second for Matt.
No, and then vote separately.
Okay.
Do you want one motion or separate motions? Yeah.
Frank, did you make that motion? For all
Let's
three?
amend our motion to include all of the people who wish to be our nominee. So far we have Steve, Matt, and Tanya. And I have somebody make a motion to nominate Steve Carr, Matt Van Ormer, and Tanya Galpin.
Nate,
I'll nominate Steve Carr, Tanya Galpin, and Matt Naylor for running for the spot for the ad hoc committee.
Is there a
Nate.
second?
Nate Beer, a second.
Okay. We're going to do this by paper ballot to keep things easy. So we will get you paper. And
Okay, I'm going to read the votes aloud. I need someone to tally this for me so that we can keep track. Thank you. 1 for Steve Carr. Second for Steve Carr. 1 for Tanya. 1 for Matt. Another vote for Steve. Another vote for Steve. Another one for Steve. Another vote for Steve. And a second for Matt. So I have 2 for Matt, 1 for Tanya, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Steve.
Congratulations, Steve. You will be the other representative to this ad hoc committee. Okay, and as an additional part of this, our job is to compile a list of concerns and items that need to be addressed. So if anyone has a idea right now, you can share it, or this meeting is not happening until the end of the month, so you can email your suggestions to Francine.
This might not need to go on the list, but I do like Frank's idea of having it be part of the service day to get some work done up at the track.
Signed in service day at a certain time.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, 15 years ago. So right now, it could last longer if the Parks and Rec Department is using the trim the grass that's underneath the rubber together right now. It's kind of cracking it. So, something done, commission should, it's be done, not just mow the lawn while on track. There's weeds growing out of the equipment. Not grass, I mean, little in between metal equipment.
I mean, we're all
Don't
talking
forget-
about all this money and all these people. We don't have people either.
Oh,
Money.
I heard that we have guys that are inconvenienced that do unlock the chair.
Okay, we're getting a little off topic here. So let's get back to,
Not the upkeep of all fields.
And that is a concern that I have about the upkeep of that park and many others. The upkeep of Nystrom in particular. There is no budget. There's nothing in the operating budget that I'm aware of at the town side that is guaranteed, set aside for any kind of upkeep at Nystrom or any of the fields. So that is something that I intend to put on the short list of what we bring forward, because putting $10,000 aside, I'll say 40, right? We're going to pretend that it's going to be 40, right? 10,000 from rec, 10,000 from us, and 20 from the town, and maybe a match from the Diane Burr Road Race. We're never going to achieve the level of funding that we need to cover the repair, because we're not maintaining it throughout those years to begin with. So that's my concern. It's the same concern that I have as to how we maintain, or how the town prioritizes the maintenance of our schools.
So one of my questions for the ad hoc committee would be, whose responsibility is it? Is it in fact the town's, because they hired a town crew member to maintain the fields, or is it the rec department who does separate stuff? Right? They do separate mowing and, but I think the town crew is supposed to be maintaining the fields. So I don't know who maintains the track per se. That's my question.
Any other comments before we continue? Thank you. All right, moving into the superintendent's report.
Sorry, I just want to write down the last thing that I said. Okay, under correspondence, it's pretty self-explanatory. Oh, I do want to apologize. I forgot to add the public comment statement on the front page of our agenda this month that tells the public that we will respond to them in writing. I'm sorry, I forgot to add that this month. It will be added next month. It just reminded me of it because we have the acknowledgement listed here, but it is also attached to our minutes. Under reports, we have the May Administrator's Report. And then we have an item that's listed as AFSCME Union Ratified Memoranda of Agreement. There were two Well, there were several topics that the AFSCME union and I met about over the last few months, mostly as we were going through setting up the recruitment and retention plan. These were the two that remained on the list. So item 1 is a custodian 1 memorandum of agreement where the custodian 1 staff will receive a raise, an hourly rate raise, to compensate them for the new inventory system that they are going to have to maintain. We had gone back and forth between whether we should have a separate job known as an inventory specialist or something along those lines. We really needed to stay with our custodian 1s because they're the ones that manage all of their inventory in the buildings. This also solved a separate problem. It was a morale issue because our custodian 1 was making a pay rate that was so very close to the custodian 2 that it was indistinguishable for them. So this allows them to get a higher rate of pay that evens them out between district lead custodian, custodian 1, and custodian 2. So it had to be brought before the AFSCME union before it could be brought to the board, because if they didn't agree, then we would have nothing to talk about. The second was Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a holiday that more and more of the AFL-CIO unions are getting. In our case, we have the unusual circumstance of having some 12-month people, some 10-month people, and then this funky little group in between that works 191 days. So they're kind of 12, but not. So we came up with a solution that was cost neutral. You get Juneteenth if you're a 12-month worker. It's a loss of hours of work for us, but it's not an extra payday. So we're not paying them out this money. If you're a 191-day worker, that would be our nurses and our guidance secretary. They would get the Juneteenth because Juneteenth would fall within their regular work year. The 19th of June would typically fall there. The 10-month staff would only get it if it falls in their work year. That would mean we would have to have enough snow days where the last day of school would push into the 19th. We don't want them to take the 19th of June off because the last thing that anyone wants to do is have to close school and extend the school year by a day because the 19th happens to fall during the school year and it would delay the closure of school. So the suggestion was that we make it a floating holiday so that they could take it on a different day and not all at once where we might have to shut the building down because every custodian is out or every secretary is out. So these two items are being brought to the board for discussion and action tonight. And the union understands that the decision may be in favor or against these two MOAs separately or together. I did put it on as one motion, but it's your prerogative to do it as one motion for two MOAs or two separate MOA motions. No, they are not giving up a holiday. This is in addition to the holidays that they have. So it is a +1 for your 12-monthers and a +1 for your nurses. It will only be a plus, and your guidance secretary. It'll only be a +1 for your paraprofessionals and your part-time, your 10-month secretaries if the 19th of June is a workday for them. So they don't get paid for it. We just lose a day of their working. Yep, we didn't have to have them give it up because it doesn't cost us anything to give it to them other than the hours not worked. I think it would be best to have a motion in play.
Real quick, for the custodian, what is the difference, the jump? Is it these two numbers, the 26?
The difference
Okay,
is.
yeah, all right, I'm sorry. All right.
Do you,
Matt Van Omer, I vote to accept and approve the AFSCME union ratification memorandum and agree of agreement as presented.
Tanya Galpin, second.
Discussion?
Sorry.
I just assumed he falls on a weekend. They still get the day off.
Don't believe that that's included, but it would be included in their contract once it's blended into their contract. They would be able to take a day off on a different day. It's a floating holiday anyway. It doesn't matter if it falls on a Saturday or Sunday. It's not really going to be Juneteenth. They would pick their day no matter what.
Be observed on the date that the state of Connecticut observes the Juneteenth holiday on an annual basis.
Mhm.
I thought you said floating meeting.
Yes, that is correct.
Right, but if it fell on the weekend, my question was, would that be the holiday for?
No, they would be able to, they would continue to have a floating holiday available to them, even if it falls on a Saturday or a Sunday. And your question, Steve, about the cost. So the lead custodian. You have that information? Okay, thank you. It would be going forward starting July 1st. For the custodian. For Juneteenth, it would start this year.
This money was unbudgeted for.
That is correct. So it would be approximately, based on the number of hours that they typically work, it's only the two custodian ones, the one at Black Rock and the one at Center, because we don't need it here at the high school because we have the lead custodians. They don't need the extra funds. So it'd be $13,561.60 to the total budget for both of them together.
So what happens with this inventory system and the responsibilities if this memorandum is not agreed to by the board?
So we had another solution that I mentioned, which would be an inventory specialist where we would pay someone outside of their work hours to do this work. I have been over and over with the union and with the custodians. This would not be a good idea. It's not my recommended idea because then the people that are overseeing the equipment would not be the ones who are overseeing the inventory repair and recording of that inventory and repair. So we would end up with what we have now, which is inventory whenever we can get to it. And that's what I don't want to have happen with our 5 and 10 year plan and all the work that Patrick and Spencer have put into getting our inventory up to a baseline. It would all be for naught. We would be back to square one again because we would not be maintaining our inventory properly.
This is the presentation that Spencer and them had done on the inventory collecting and stuff.
Yes.
To be utilized amongst the whole town. But it's not inventory of the whole town. It's just regarding the school system, correct?
It would be our facilities inventory. Yes. Anything that we buy, dispose of, or repair. And this system, they would be trained on this system in July. They would utilize this system until a better system comes along. I would think it would be many, many years they'd be using this system. And the system keeps an inventory history for them. It also allows for like a request for service. So if a teacher or an administrator has something that's broken in their area of the facility, they can use this system to report what's broken so that the custodian can then respond to it and make the repair. So it works both ways. It works almost like a request ticket, and it also works as an inventory system. And everything that Patrick has chronicled for us will be in a batch upload into the system. So we will start with a complete baseline as Patrick has made it for us.
Is this a system that we pay for that was $10,000?
This is the system that was in our budget that would work for both departments, for both the custodians and IT.
I thought it was out there, but it's not.
No, the system is in the budget. That stayed in the budget. We kept that in. They will get this hourly increase starting July 1. And then they won't get the percentage increase that you see in the contract because they're getting this. So it won't be, you won't get that plus the cost of living. And then going forward, they'll just get whatever the cost of living increase is.
Any other questions? So the 13,561.60 would have to come from a different line. So we'd either have to find a way to underspend a line, or we would be looking for funds elsewhere. So right now, once we have a position that the board is taking, then I'll be able to sit down with our business manager and we can pre-plan for this, so that we can look at other lines and say, okay, it's kind of like cutting within your own budget. You'd say, okay, we were going to buy this, but we're going to move it here. Or if there's something that we can offset with a 2% account, so we could put that budgeted money into this line and then spend something else from 2%, we can do that too. But I would say we wouldn't see a transfer until we go over in the line. And that probably won't come until months into the next budget. Any other questions or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Thank you. Thank you. I just want to point out that in my memo explaining those two memoranda, that they support our retention and recruitment plan, but they also support the goals that the board set for morale, because there was quite a significant level of complaint coming from the staff regarding morale and pay with the new responsibilities. So thank you. My residency report, you have a good number of students there that were involved in residency and even disenrollment because of their new residency outside of the town. We have no student discipline reports, no homeschooling reports. Our enrollment report has been enhanced this month with our NESDEC enrollment projection. So you have our regular enrollment report plus the NESDEC enrollment projection. Contracts and grants, we'll keep this reminder for one more month. You will always find those in our business manager's report, but that parenthetic note will be leaving the agenda come August. So our August agenda won't show the reminder anymore. And we will remove those items because they will be under the business manager's report. General information, same with fundraisers, that'll be under business manager's report. Next, we have personnel. We have transfers and new assignments of varying degrees. Most of them are related to the extended school year or summer enrichment program. These are hourly positions that run through a portion of June and July each summer. We have one resignation, no retirements, no terminations, no non-renewals, and no new stipends at this time. I ask that the board vote to acknowledge my notification of personnel as presented.
Steve Carr, vote to acknowledge the superintendent's notification of personnel, specifically new hires, transfers, retirements, resignations, renewals, stipends per policy 4112, 4212, personnel certified, non-certified appointment, and conditions of employment as presented.
Bill second.
I have a question or comment. I think I did email you last week. Maybe you were still out, but it was regarding the stipends and specifically the athletic coaches, how many we have, how many volunteers we have, assistant coaches, assistant to the assistant coaches. And I did request, and I'm hoping to get from you at some point, a list of all the coaches, assistants, volunteers, and the numbers of each student athlete per sport, so that we can really take a look to see if we really need all these coaching positions.
Yes, I did send your original message over to Dr. Watson and Mr. Scanziano because I didn't know what the requirements were when you were asking about volunteers and what the CIAC says is allowable. I don't know if they've answered you. If they haven't, I will follow up. And then as far as number of students that will come from them, coaches, we're pulling from personnel so that we know who we've hired. But even so, we haven't had a presentation on the B teams in a while. That was originally created when we had a very large track team. And I want to say it was probably in 2016 that Mr. Perucci had requested that we allow for a B team, so that if a team is very large, you would actually have two of that sport with two separate and significant stipends. So I will also make that request to see how often we need to do that and if we need to revamp what the B team looks like, because we did have thresholds as well. So for you getting the number of students that are participating and not having those thresholds, it's not going to help you. We need both. So for the June meeting, either I will give you a report or we will have Dr. Watson or Mr. Scanziano here so that we can get that answered before we go into the next sports season. Okay. And thank you for your patience with my absence. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you.
We have one family medical leave request. We have no new interns or student teachers, and we have no field trip requests, but we do have a request for the disposal of equipment from Mr. Lin at the high school. I have no other information in my report, and I am not requesting any actions, any further actions from the Board of Ed at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving into our Budget Audit Committee report. Mr. Carr?
We had discussion, the expenditures for the month are $1,871,649.31 to date. Vote to accept, approve business and finance report and expenditures per policy 3432, 3433. Business, non-instructional operations, budget and expense report, annual financial statements as presented for April 2024.
Nate Viera, second.
Questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Moving into the Policy Committee, Mr. Van Ormer.
Matt Van Ormer, we had our policy meeting just earlier this evening. We're going to move, let's see. We're gonna move our therapy dog policy to a first read for next month. Policy 9125, we're gonna move to a first read. Non-renewal and suspensions, we were looking to fast track next month. Policy 411 2.8 and 4212.8, we're gonna move to hopefully fast track next month. Yeah, I need glasses. And then for second reads for next month, it'll move to action items. We have policy 1212, school volunteers, policy 2120, and policy 2223. And for action items today, no, where's my, there. All right. Matt Van Ormer, I vote to accept and approve policy 5141.213 as presented.
Nate Viera, second.
Aye. And then Matt Van Ormer, I vote to accept and approve policy 9132 as presented.
Nate Viera, second.
Steve Carr, vote to enter into executive session for the purpose of self-assessment of individual members of the leadership team, including discussion regarding goal attainment and handling of unanticipated challenges, and invite superintendent costs.
Nate Vera, second.